Yo, what's going on, everybody? Gonna be getting into today some market recap. Going to be going over price today. I ended up taking zero trades today, and I'm gonna be going over why I ended up taking zero trades today and ended up fading a few setups that presented themselves. And yeah, to be honest, today was pretty trash. Nothing really much today. We just bled today. But coming into pre-market, don't ignore these two bearish candles here. These 4 hour candles coming in prior to New York Open. What was I looking at? To be honest, overall, I was leaning pretty bullish today. Reason being is because on the higher time frame, what have you been doing? We've been delivering from sell side. We are disrespecting bearish key levels. Higher time frame 4 hour gaps, as you can see right here, throughout all this range that we were in. This range that we're in at the moment is just trash. Like, I don't like it at all. So it looked like what we have been doing was kind of just like getting ready for a move to get out of this range, but clearly not by PA today. So unfortunate. But again, leaning pretty bullish on the higher time frame here. My draws on liquidity for today was previous day high being this draw up here, and then final draw for today was looking like this high resistance. So this 4 hour high inside of this 4 hour gap over here, and got a high resistance as final draw. Yeah, but it's just like if we've been looking at the market overall, we're just in like we were in a clear market maker buy model to the upside here, so it looked like that draw was definitely the next draw. We also left a failure swing with previous day high leading towards that draw in the first place. And then if we go down to the 15-minute time frame here, as you can see what we've been doing, we've just been delivering higher and respecting bearish, disrespecting bullish. Respecting bullish, disrespecting bearish. And yeah, so cool. Coming into the day, we also had some clear draws as well, being this new day opening gap, which we have yet to tap into. So that was definitely like a key level for me to look for trades towards. I really do like new day opening gaps and new week opening gaps. Are always like super strong draws on liquidity, and they're usually magnets to price. Price always wants to go in and fill them up before making its next move wherever it may go. So I was actually really liking the structure coming into the market today. Reason being is because we inverse this. I literally said this last night as well. What I wanted to see for today was if we had like a retrace here of some sorts into like a 4 hour gap, which we did have. I know we didn't have it on NQ, but we had an SMT instead of a 4 hour gap on the S&P 500. Still pretty premiumed, but we did end up reacting off that. We ended up inversing the highest time frame PD array within this manipulation leg down to that 4 hour, which was this 1 hour unfilled gap right here, as we can see. We just ran through this and disrespected it completely, and then we left a failure swing to the new day opening gap here, and we also left an unfilled hourly gap below us here as well. So to be honest, and this is in a pretty good area of the range as well, if you want to do from high to low, this was like a good OTE kind of 0.75. This would have been a good discounted fair value gap for us to retrace to. So coming into market open, I was looking for us to leave this new day opening gap, have a retrace lower here, tap this hourly gap, and then maybe make a move higher. So that was like my first scenario. So my first scenario was we accumulate pre-market, and then market opens into this hourly gap, and then we start to look for longs towards the new day opening gap here. That was my first scenario. And then my scenario number two was going to be off of this 4 hour, because we had yet to hit it on the Nasdaq, and just because we hit it on the S&P 500 doesn't mean that the Nasdaq doesn't want it, especially when it's a higher time frame draw. So I was looking at this as the second condition, being that if we wanted to accumulate and then kind of run lower here, tap this 4 hour gap, and then start to look for a continuation model potentially to the upside there. I'm not the biggest fan of longing like 1 minute, 30-second short, 30-second candles, or 30-second for value gaps, or inverse for value gaps, sorry. 1 minute, 2 minute. Like, I mean, sure, if we want to come down to this 4 hour and we present like excellent structure and a clear inversion with like an unmitigated fair value gap within like a price, and leading, or the low resistance stacked above leading towards that gap, then maybe I could look for a reversal to take there. But I'm not the biggest fan of taking reversals. I would have preferred, ideal scenario would have been if we tapped this 4 hour, made a move higher, and then looked for some sort of continuation trade, with a sponsored gap, of course, from the 4 hour, like a 5 minute count or a 15-minute count, whatever it may be, towards those draws, because the draws were definitely higher. And for us to go down to that 4 hour gap, we would have to move 111 points to the downside, with our draws being almost 300 points to the upside. Well, 150 to, yeah, all the draws being a lot higher. So I was in no rush to be looking for trades if we came down to that 4 hour. But again, I was open to taking some for sure, because that is a great key level that we can reject off of. We did have Asian session lows down here, which left a failure swing to that 4 hour as well. All right. So with that in mind, Yeah, market open today just absolutely ripped. Zero manipulation whatsoever. You could say the manipulation happened pre-market, but it just didn't. Like we didn't tap into anything significant. We didn't hit this end dog. It depends if you want to look at the end dog from body to body, but that's not how I look at the new day opening gap. I believe the new day opening gap is the gap that it leaves, which is these two candles, which is the wick. The gap between the two wicks here is the new day opening gap. So yeah. Boom, 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 boom. Let's go down here and see what we do. So again, market absolutely rips down on open here with no manipulation, no PO3 whatsoever. We just slam to the downside here. And then coming into around 9:40, we then tap this 4 hour very aggressively. And then we start making failure swings. So we start generating some pretty good structure here. So I was actually kind of liking this. And let me turn this off. Sorry. So we came down into this 4 hour and then we were just kind of messing around. And the reason why I liked this was because it was just generating good structure. So as I was saying earlier, if you are going to take a reversal, obviously you're not going to be targeting the entire reversal here. We did have a 5 minute gap as well that opened right here, which I was liking. So I was looking at this 5 minute gap to be the gap that I would want to target for this trade. And as you can see right here, we were generating liquidity towards it. And then I think we had this 30-second setup. No, I know. So it was around, this was like right before the 15-minute candle opened as well. So a higher time frame candle was going to open, being the 9:45 15-minute candle. As you can see, we were just generating low resistance before that. Then as you can see, if we look at 9:45 here, what does it do? It manipulates lower. And we run these lows right here, and then we had a stop hunt inside of a key level. All right, so we had a stop hunt inside of the 4 hour. And then at this point as well, we were also rebalancing this range. So this was looking pretty decent. And I was liking this. And then we had a 30-second inverse right here. But I didn't take the 30-second inverse. The reason being is because it was a really small 30-second gap. I'll pull it up on Alpha on Project X just to show you guys what I was talking about here. Boom, boom, boom. Where was it? No, would have been on the, yeah, it's in here. Let me just mark this out really quick. This range here. Yeah, perfect. So this was the 30-second gap I was talking about here. Boom, 9:45. As you can see, yeah, 9:45 runs the stops here, and then we get this immediate 30-second inversion. But the thing is about this 30-second gap, I just wasn't a fan because it's so small. And I know size doesn't matter, but when you have a 30-second gap in particular, that is like you need to almost zoom in to see the gap. It's just not great. Like if we had a gap that was bigger, then yeah, I probably would have ended up taking this, but I still did like this and I love the structure above. So what I was looking for was a CISD here. So if we had a clean displacement and a close above this bearish candle right here, and being the, obviously that would have been the CISD, I most likely would have entered this long and targeted probably stops like here and targeted that unfilled 5 minute, which was, where was it? Where was that unfilled 5 minute? I think the unfilled 5 minute was up here. Yes, the unfilled 5 minute was here, right? No, it wasn't. Hold on. Okay, yeah, it was right here. Oops. So yeah, just would have been probably because we should have definitely flushed to this. So I would have probably just went for a 1-to-1 here. Actually, no, that's a lie. Would have had my stop loss in a better position here, like here, and then just went for a 1-to-1 on this. But again, we didn't get that CISD, so the confirmation for the bullish price action after we had that 9:45 PO3 with the displacement or with that 30-second inverse, it just wasn't good enough for me to take, and I wasn't a fan of it. And another reason why I also wasn't a fan of it is if you want to go to the S&P 500, I'll just stay on this. During this time, no, I won't actually. I'll go back to TradingView. The S&P 500 during this time was looking pretty like where was it? 9:45. Sorry, let me just go to the 4 hour. I'm going to show you guys what I mean by this. We had this 4 hour gap here on the S&P 500 as well, which we had yet to hit at 9:45, if I'm correct. Yeah. So as we can see, by the looks of things, like the S&P 500 was just in like a blatant sell model at this point. So that was also something that was definitely throwing me off. So I did want to see better bullish confirmation than a really small 30-second gap that I'd have to zoom in to look at to be that bullish confirmation from that 4 hour, especially how ES was moving. Like ES was just in no man's land here. If we want to go to the 1 hour chart, we can see during this time, boom, boom, boom. Ooh. ES was just ripping through all these gaps here, and we had yet to hit the 4 hour below, right? So this was like kind of the telltale sign for me that ES has not done manipulating, especially when you're trying to catch it, even if it's not technically a full reversal, even if you're just trying to catch like a manipulation leg to a 5 minute or like a mech model, for example. When there's no true manipulation involved and you're trying to catch a reversal, it's just the probability is just not there, in my opinion. So yeah, I was waiting for ES to end up manipulating into this 4 hour at 10 a.m., which is exactly what it did, and then tried to look for longs from there. And if we want to go to the Nasdaq, that is exactly the same thing that happened on Nasdaq. And so at this point, longs were now looking a lot better, but sadly, where am I? Oh, sorry, over here. At 10 a.m., as you can see, so we had that 10 a.m. stacking PO3 with the 945. So this was looking a lot better. The narrative was looking a lot cleaner here. And we ended up inversing this 1 minute gap right here, but it was a terrible inverse, and it's not going to let me go to it. But I'm not even going to bother go back to the Project X for this, but we had a 2 minute fair value gap opening here as well, which did open. Yeah, so there's a 2 minute fair value gap. What am I looking at? Oh, this is the 3 minute, of course. There was a 2 minute fair value gap within this manipulation leg here that I was looking to get inversed. If we displaced strongly through that 2 minute gap, then sure, I would have been down to take a long. But again, the bias today was just completely wrong, is what it is, and would have been targeting the unfilled 15 minute, which I think was like right here. So it would have been a nice trade to try and catch. But again, market had other plans today, respected that 2 minute, ended up delivering lower, and we just ripped lower basically for the entire session until we got to around, yeah. And so what, like 10:30, I think was this 10:30. We had like a 30-second long here at 10:30. But like, what are you longing off? You know what I mean? Like, if you're really taking this long and you're really thinking that this long is valid, like I don't really get it. You know, we're ripping through. We've ripped through. We've inversed two 4 hour candles here, 4 hour gaps, and we've just bled around. Like, how much did we even bleed off market open here? Like, from, I don't even know. Yeah. Oh my god. Like, we've bled 535 points, 500, basically 550 points to the downside, and you are looking to take a 30-second long off of nothing really. Like, what, us being in a 4 hour gap for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We were inside of a 4 hour gap for 30 minutes. Yeah, it's just like, I don't know, bro. That's it's not a trade I'd be looking to take. Definitely not. If you did end up taking this, fair enough. But I feel like the probability on trades like this, especially like a 30-second, you're basically trying to catch low of the day with a 30-second instead of a 4 hour that we've been inside of and not showing any clear signs of respecting for the past 40 odd minutes. It's just not really valid. The bullish confirmation is nowhere to be seen. But yeah, this does end up playing out. But again, definitely nowhere near A plus. Low key F minus setup in my opinion. Would never take something like that. So yeah, nothing really much today. We just bled like 500 points to the downside, and that's it. So no trades today, sadly. Pretty trash PA is what it is. The wrong bias, no retracements either for even a short. Like, even if you wanted to be bearish with a retracement and look for draws lower, it just didn't happen today. Nothing really valid presented itself, and that is what it is. So that's going to be it for today's trade recap, guys. Let me know if you ended up taking anything today. If you ended up taking one of those 30-second longs, or if you trade a different model, ended up catching these shorts. Or if you ended up losing, getting break even, whatever it may be, please leave it in the comments below. I always love hearing from other people's trading journey and what they took. It's always great to hear. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Hopefully you learned something new. If you didn't know already, if I explained anything, or if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I will 100% answer them. And if you want to contact me personally, you can go to my bio. Not my bio, sorry, the description of this video, where my Discord will be in the description, my Instagram, and my TikTok will also be there as well. If you guys want to check them out and shoot me a DM on either three of those platforms, I'd be all willing to answer any questions that you guys have for me personally. I'm going to be documenting my entire journey to profitability on this YouTube channel for everybody to see, and won't be stopping until we're profitable. I'm going to be showing people what it actually takes to become a profitable day trader and the reality behind trading, because there is a lot of people in the space at the moment, I'm not going to say any names in particular, that are just not really honest with their trading. And I used to think they were, but they definitely aren't. As I've gotten more experience as a trader, I can tell. and small things like hiding proofs and stuff like this. It's just we won't get into that topic, but again, I'm going to be as real as possible. So yeah, that's going to be it for today's recap, guys. I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.